Hey, what's going on, guys? Got an updated version of my tier 100 Nightmare Dungeon clearing build. Bearing in mind, I have now cleared tier 100 solo, duo, and trio. So those videos are already uploaded on my channel. Feel free to go check them out. They're quite long, but they are very interesting to watch. But yeah, I've got some updated things because I've learned a lot from doing those runs and from doing other ones. And I want to share that information with you. And I've tweaked my build a little bit to be able to do that. So first thing I'll go over is the gear. Here we've got the helmet, I've got crowd control duration and cooldown reduction. Those two are really good here. The max life and total armor, bearing in mind for tier 100 specifically, kind of go out the window. Those are really good for like 70 and below, like tier 70 below, but for above that, then basically defenses on sorts kind of go out the window, and you have to rely on maybe things like dodge chance if you can get that, which is actually quite good. Or just go full DPS and CC. So got that. So I've got the extra Frost Nova charge. I found this to be like a mandatory thing. There were a lot of times where mobs would run at me really quick, and I would pop Frost Nova just before I got hit, and then another mob would come like real quick. Some of them are ridiculously fast, and then I'd have another spare charge to be able to use it. So highly recommend that. Raiment of the Infinite. Definitely an amazing one for this. The glass cannon passive is good, but obviously that teleport and the stun, which is really important. The stun is like, I'd almost say mandatory for some of the huge damage that you can get, and for taking out some of the elites, you need to have them stunned, frozen, and immobilized, which I'll go over in a minute. So yeah, to be able to do your big damage. But yes, I highly recommend Raiment. If you don't have that, you can get some like defensive stuff on a chest, but honestly, for tier 100s, I found this to be very, very useful. Here with the gloves, interesting one because we've got Fists of Fate that you'll know from the last one. I've still got a Sacred one here. I haven't found a better one, but it actually is quite good because it has the lucky hit chance to immobilize. Now, I found this to be slightly inconsistent. Sometimes it was amazing, sometimes it wasn't. Fist of Fate is a bit up and down. This is no longer what I would say is like a mandatory item for the build. It can be quite useful, and bearing in mind that if this was actually, see, it's 696 item level, if that was 700 or above, when I actually leveled it up, it would have gone into the higher tier, so I would have had a higher chance for the immobilize to proc, or if it was ancestral, but unfortunately it's not. What I've been using kind of with this, because I use this when I kill mobs like packs and things, and then if I need to burst an elite with more consistent damage, I actually use these gloves. So I swap these ones on. So this one has critical strike chance to restore primary resource, which isn't the mandatory one, then ice shards and lucky hit chance. So those are very good. And then I've got the avalanche key passive now is an additional proc. A lot of you guys have said that you've been struggling with mana. You've been using this build for like leveling and stuff. And yes, you can. Of course you can. You can use it. The damage is massive. But if you're running into mana problems, this helps a lot rather than using Fist of Fate. So use this. And as I said, I found the consistent damage from this really good when I needed to kill like a tough elite, like a triple affix elite that was like quite tanky. This was really good. So you can just completely ignore Fist of Fate if you want to, or use these. Ice Hearts. Now this one, actually very, very good. This wasn't in my last video. Here I had like some heavy damage reduction pants and the bubble, magic bubble. Don't need that. Magic bubble is good occasionally, but most of the time, 90% of the time you get hit, 95% of the time maybe even you get hit by something, you're going to die in one hit. So actually having the bubble was useful very occasionally. Maybe if you got hit by spikes, it would proc and then you could kill things around you, things like that. But other than that, I actually found this was very good. So when they die when they're frozen, they have a chance to release the Frost Nova, which is quite nice. But actually, what I liked more on this, the fact that mine has a max roll, freeze duration plus 18%. Very, very strong, actually. More CC and more damage to frozen, more intelligence. I highly recommend using these for the high tier push. For leveling, I would probably use these for mega damage reduction, especially like 70s and below, 60s and below, something that you're just trying to do leveling. These would be a lot easier, so you're not getting like one shot by stuff, because you are so glass cannon with this build, okay? Boots, still got shared misery aspect. Hit crowd control enemy, there's a chance for it to spread. Absolutely amazing. Absolutely amazing, guys. Teleport, Frost Nova, intelligence, move speed, best in slot, 3 max evade charges. These boots are insane. I highly recommend trying to mimic these boots. They are outrageously good. Those evade charges save my ass all the time. And then the reduced cooldown stuff, absolutely fantastic. Try and get some of these, all right? Weapon, two-hander. Put on control, highest roll you've got. You deal more damage when they're immobilized, stunned, and frozen. It actually counts when all 3, so we're aiming for all 3, and your damage goes through the roof. Two-handers also have, as the implicit near the top, plus 52.5% damage to crowd-controlled enemies, which is incredible. Highly recommend that. And then, yeah, crit, core, vulnerable, and intelligence, phenomenal. This staff is outrageously good. Highly recommend trying to imitate this as well. On necklace, cooldown, defensive, devouring blaze, amazing. If you're running into mana issues and you can find an amulet that actually has all of those, and then you can get like mana cost reduction instead of the mastery skills, you could do that. Now, I actually found, even though the mastery skills low level, because I've actually got Blizzard and Meteor in here, and I also hot swap, and I'll go over the skills in a minute. With that, I actually found the +1 rank to mastery skills useful. Like, a shame it's not +3, is what it is. But actually useful. If I could change it with mana cost reduction, I probably would. But I actually found it useful. And then you put on the Elementalist. So core and mastery skills above 100 mana gain. And I've got max roll, 60% increased critical strike chance. Outrageously good. Definitely shove that on your amulet. Here, Ice Shards Pierce. You're going to need that. So you need to slot it in somewhere in your build. I've got it on a ring. Critical, lucky hit, vulnerable, amazing ring. You could replace lucky hit with max mana. All right, good. Next one. Distant enemies have an 8% chance to be stunned for 2 seconds. Don't matter about that, but you deal 34% increased damage to stun enemies, so it's a damage boost. Now, if you are using Fist of Fate, for example, and you are running into mana problems and you don't like it, you could, for example, replace that with the Avalanche Key passive. Could be a good one to get. Try for yourself what you like, and then crit, vulnerable, and max mana. Good on there. So that's the gear. That's what I've been using. Very, very strong. When it comes to the skills, we have here, I've got 1 point in Firebolt, 1 point in Frostbolt. The Frostbolt is for bosses, really, for like lower tier content, because you don't really want to fight bosses solo as a Sorc at tier 100, because they are just so hard to kill, because you only really do damage when they're staggered. So I've got that there, or if you're in a group, then it's very good to have. So definitely put those two across. Max out Ice Shards, come down for the vulnerable, 1 point in Devastation, 3 points in Elemental. And then here, I've changed a few things on here since the last one. So we have Flame Shield. I put 1 point into Flame Shield and 1 point into the movement speed. That can be very useful in certain burst situations. So I do recommend putting it on, but you don't have to. You could actually take both the points out of here and move that if you wanted to, because if you have defensive on your necklace, you can still use Flame Shield as basic, and it's still amazing. But you don't need to come up here for the rest of it. With Teleport, we've got some points into Teleport. So mine's at 8, and I've actually got the Enhanced Teleport for lowering the cooldown. Again, absolutely fantastic. I've taken out the end ones here. Don't need anything at the end. Maxed out Glass Cannon for really good damage. I've taken out Ice Armor completely out the build. This is something from the last video that I've done. I've taken out. Don't need the mana and things from this. Doing the burst, I actually found it to be pretty bad from doing tier 100s. Again, if you're doing lower tier content, put it in. It's quite good. If you're doing tier 100 runs, kind of pointless. Unless you need a barrier because you have lucky hit chance for barrier. All right, so you can take that out. I've been maxing out Frost Nova. Sorry, I got hit by an enemy just outside. So maxed out Frost Nova, and then come down here for the vulnerable. Very strong. You want the cooldown back as quickly as possible there. And then another thing I've changed is I've maxed out Elemental Attunement. So taking out some of the points, max this out. Sometimes having your Flame Shield just come back off cooldown because of this literally saves your life. I actually really love this now. The more I play, and especially the more I play with a staff, because you've got higher cooldowns, this is actually very quickly becoming one of my favorite passives. So, yeah, the more I play Sorc, the more I want those cooldowns immediately. That's good. Here, we just got lucky hit chance, nothing else. I've completely taken out this. And again, you could put a point in line of elements, 1 point in protection. If you have lucky hit chance with barrier, then that could be quite useful for you. If not, take it out. We've got up here the snap freeze. Highly recommend. The instant freeze is very useful. So 3 points into there, 1 point just passing through. I do use Blizzard. Don't have a point in it because of my amulet. If you don't have an amulet with +1 mastery or anything that has Blizzard on it, then definitely put a point in. It is very useful. If you watch my videos, I use this defensively. So as I'm running around, if I've lured a bunch of mobs up here and I'm running around and running away, I'll actually put a couple down like this, and the enemies will start to get slowed and slowed as they come through. And sometimes I can then wait for a cooldown as they're slowing down, jump back in, and oh, I was lagging, and burst them down. I can burst them down. So that is Blizzard. Meteor, I've come up here for the immobilize. So with the immobilize, what I normally do, pack of enemies up here, I'll come up, I'll fire a meteor, then jump in, and then do freeze. And then it pulls them all together, stuns, freezes, and then the meteor is for the immobilize, not for damage. And then I shards after that. Once you get that combo going and you get used to doing this, it's insane. And this is why you can kind of take the Fist of Fate out and you can use something like this. Fist of Fate can still be very good, but take it out, jump in, freeze like that. That combo, you do damage. They're all forms of CC, and then your damage just goes through the roof. So, highly recommend learning how to do that combo because it is actually very good. It's just the fact that it's a guaranteed chance for the immobilize. So, I found it very, very useful for just maximizing damage. Mainly so on like tough elites at tier 100. Here, Inner Flames and maxed out Devouring Blaze plus extra 3 ranks from the amulet. Very strong, very strong. Coming down, take all these passives. They're very good. And then 1 point into Deep Freeze. You don't need to worry about this. You could go up for the cooldowns if you really wanted to. I didn't really find it that useful. But Deep Freeze, situationally, is outstanding. Especially against things like teleporters. Because you can run through. What I do is I just hot swap with either of them depending on my situation. These 3 skills I would hot swap in and out. So again, an example, there is a teleporter up there. One thing I would kind of do is kind of like jump into range of it, hit this, it teleports you, which would normally kill you, but oh no, it's not, and it got frozen. So then you can do like a combo like that. So you've still got the stun, you got this, you do damage, and you've burnt its teleport. So situationally, absolutely fantastic to have that. But most of the time when I'm doing my runs, that's the build. Blizzard and Meteor, hot swappable because we got to do what we got to do to survive those tier 100s. That is the skill tree apart from the Avalanche key passive node. So yeah, tweaked a couple things, found this works better for me. Maybe you can find something that works better for you, but it's very strong. With the Paragon board, not much has changed here. I did tweak some things out, took out some defense and put in more offense. Again, tier 100 with this build anyway, don't need to worry about defense. Pretty much everything still was a one-shot. First starter board, we've got Elementalist and we've taken Intelligence to be able to activate that one. Coming up, we have the Burning Instinct board. One thing I took out was this damage reduction and stuff from elites, and I've gone for more like damage to burning, and some more things like later on. I've even taken some of these for like damage to burning, damage to elites. And then the node we got in is destruction, more critical strike damage with core skills, very strong. Coming over here, we've got Frigid Fate. I don't think I particularly tweaked too much here. Yeah, I think I took out maybe like this node here. But yeah, Frigid Fate, we have Tactician, very strong. We're getting bonuses to our vulnerable damage from having that in, and we're using defensive skills a lot, so we're gaining the 10% increased damage. I mean, we're always teleporting in. Coming up, we have Elemental Summoner. So on this board, there is some non-physical damage over this side. We've got some max mana things here. Again, not really tweaked too much, but we've got the exploit glyph in here. We've got that extra dexterity in there to boost that vulnerable damage. So all of this is looking pretty strong. On the right-hand side, coming through, we have Static Surge board. Here, I've picked up a few more nodes in damage to stunned enemies to really ramp up our damage there. We've got the Control glyph in, which actually gives us an outrageous amount of damage increase. And this is only, I think my control is only, oh, it's actually level 20. So it's nearly maxed out. But yeah, so we've got the control one there. And then coming over to the left-hand side of this one, we have the Searing Heat board. And with that one, we've got Flame Feeder. I don't think I changed anything there. So a few small tweaks to be able to do more damage, like more damage to stun. I think we picked up like 3 nodes there for a bit of a boost. And some of the other stuff. So that's the tweaks I've made to that there. And then when it comes to your enchantments, this is what I'm normally running when I'm doing a T100. You could go around any corner and a teleport or a cold enchant just one-shots you. So having the cheat death is actually fantastic. If, for example, you've got you're getting confident and you've done a lot and you've got that, then you can pop this on. So this is basically the only change I make is if I'm feeling confident and I'm feeling on it, then I'll put this on. Won't have the cheat death. You get more damage. Actually very satisfying to blow up packs as if they're like a tier 50 with this build, but they're on tier 100 and everything just like completely gets wrecked. Actually very satisfying, but it obviously makes it a lot harder because you can't take a hit, whereas here you can. So I still recommend having the flame shield on, even though you've got to wait for it, but it will help you with clears. Now in the trio run that I did a lot of that with this one on because there was 3 of us, another one of the Sorc. So we had the same kind of combo of like jumping in, freezing everything, doing more damage. And because then obviously having a team, you can res each other. And then the other Sorc had cheat death on and I had this on for like more burst damage. And that was working out quite well. But then I did also at harder points against harder elites put on flame shield. So still my ultimate recommendation for tier 100 is this. For lower dungeon clearing and stuff, but on ice shards, you know, especially 15 below, you don't even need to worry about this. I actually, even maybe like 70s and below, I wouldn't really worry about flame shield. Flame shield is for when things start getting really difficult, but at that point, you might as well just be doing 100 if you can get a sigil for it. You want to be crafting and see what you can get. Quickly show the stats as well. We've got things like 184 crit strike damage, 245 vulnerable damage. Down here, damage versus burning 128. Defenses. And then cooldown 20%, like hit chance 40%. But yeah, guys, that's kind of a bit of an update for the build. There are some tweaks and there is some stuff that I've found out that I really like. Again, the videos for the runs, come check it out. They're on the channel. You can see the kind of tactics that I use. Going to be uploading another video as well soon, talking about all the tips and things I've learned from doing tier 100s. But this build wrecks face, all right? Plenty of gameplay on my channel if you want to see that. Guys, really appreciate you. And until the next one, I'll see you very soon.